It's October 2002, Giants at Angels, Game 6. This is Remember That Game, the podcast about sporting events that take you on a journey and maybe chart the path of the zeitgeist. I'm your host, Thomas Emerick, and my guest is Representative Mike Levin of California's 49th Congressional District. And you grew up in Southern California. You have the Angels return home from San Francisco Bay in 2002, down 3-2, having just lost by 12 runs. You'll need the rally monkey. But did it seem like Padres and Dodgers fans had your back in unity?
I think they did, Thomas, because, we had a mutual enemy in the Giants, particularly for Dodgers fans. And the Angels-Dodgers Freeway Series rivalry, was pretty one-sided all those years. I grew up first 8 years of my life in Long Beach. Then we moved when I was 8 to South Orange County. And my grandpa was a big Angels fan. And so I grew up going to the Big A with him. And 86 was really the first memory that I had when we were one strike away from the World Series. And Dave Henderson crushed our spirits with a home run that, ultimately led to our losing the series. And of course, the Mets wound up winning that year. But that was as close as we came. And we didn't even make the playoffs between 87 and 2002. And so it was not always easy being an Angels fan in the 90s. But we were thrilled to make it in 2002. And I think that we weren't a real threat to the Dodgers all those years. I think the Padres were also happy. I have a lot of shared communities where they're both Padres and Angels fans. And basically, anything against the Dodgers is good. But when I grew up, my high school years, I actually went to LA. My dad took a job out in Santa Monica. And so from time to time, I go to Dodger Stadium, and, I am not a Dodger hater as much as I am an Angel and a Padre fan. And so it's been kind of rough these last, 10, 15 years, but we had that great run between 2002 and, 2009, 2010. And we can unpack all of it. I've been there for way too much of it.
Yeah, and we'll go through this Game 6 here while periodically transporting back to the path here and your path here, rooting for the Angels, but also having a fondness for the Padres. Your district spanning Southern Orange County to Northern San Diego County. You spent time growing up in Forest Lake.
Lake Forest.
Lake Forest.
Close enough.
Half hour.
There's really not really a lake or a forest. There's kind of a small man-made lake, and there's some nice eucalyptus trees. But it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it sounds nice. They're at half hour from that county border with OC and San Diego County. I imagine you like seeing the Padres do well and enjoyed both those Angels and Padres teams in the 90s.
Well, Tony Gwynn was my favorite player growing up. I thought he was fantastic. And, obviously the 394 season, but really, just seeing him and the way he played the game, the way he studied film, the discipline of hitting, and, clearly a great person on top of it, really a model of just a great, great athlete and somebody that as a kid I looked up to. And, I think those Padres teams, he had a couple great teams, obviously, that made the World Series in '84 and then again in the 90s. Very sad he never got a ring.
Yeah, and it seemed like he could have played any sport he wanted. Drafted by the Clippers, chose baseball.
Starting point guard at San Diego State.
Yep. Set records for the Aztecs, and chose baseball. And what ensued was 8 batting titles in 14 years, bookended by the Padres' first pennant year in '84 and his .372 average in '97, which will come in handy in '98 when Ken Griffey Jr.'s N64 offering hit the market. Ridiculous batting circle for Gwynn in that game, and a fun Angels roster, including the heart of tonight's order with Tim Salmon, Garrett Anderson, and Troy Gloss. Did you have a favorite baseball game or team you played with back in the day?
Myself, well, I played Little League all those years, but in terms of, video games, I was an NES guy, so I would say any of the old RBI baseball or eventually Bases Loaded. I think I had all of them. And now my son has MLB The Show, which is made in San Diego, the studios in San Diego. And I want to go visit those folks because that game is incredible. And just the level of detail is unbelievable. But, I was a Nintendo guy and, then eventually got too old.
Yeah, but back then you had the classics, and yeah, baseball. It seems like they continue to do a good job evolving. At least the video game companies evolving the product to today. Giants also a great Griffey 64 roster with Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent. Top of the first, Bonds intentional walk after Jeff Kent singled to center field. Jim Edmonds years earlier used to do a Willie Mays impression out there, a sight to behold in Anaheim, Orange County. He and ace Chuck Finley would not see Y2K in an Angels uniform, but a lot of young bats from that 98 team that finished second in the AL West, they stuck around to 2002. Did it seem back then like they had the core of something special to withstand some higher price departures like Edmonds and Finley?
Well, it's interesting you bring up Edmonds. I was upset at the time when Bill Stoneman traded Edmonds and we got Adam Kennedy. And, ultimately it was Adam Kennedy that wound up hitting 3 home runs in Game 5 of the ALCS to clinch it against the Twins, to send us to the World Series. But I thought Stoneman did a great job as GM. We had suffered through the 86 collapse, and then we weren't very good for quite a while. We had another collapse in 95 when we were way up on Seattle. We wound up losing at the very end to Seattle. Didn't make the wild card with a really great team. But you could see, Salmon, Anderson, Edmonds, that core group, Gloss eventually, Erstad with the #1 pick. That was a very, very good group of guys. Percival, of course. And so, I felt pretty strong about what they were up to in the late 90s. I was off in college between 97 and 01. I came back to Southern California for 1 year between college and law school. And then in 02, I actually left for Duke University out in North Carolina for law school when the Angels made this run. It was a shocking run because they started the season 6-14. I thought, okay, here we go again, talent on paper, but they can't put it all together. I was thrilled, though, that Mike Scioscia became the manager of the team because he was part, another huge baseball memory for me was the 88 Kirk Gibson home run and that 4-1 series win against the A's, the NLCS against the Mets. So I was a little guy, but I certainly was following. Always loved Tom Lasorda and always thought that Scioscia would be the natural successor to Lasorda for the Dodgers. Having been the catcher, in 81 and 88. And so when the Angels got him, I was ecstatic because I knew he was a winner. I knew he was a really smart baseball mind. And, when Disney bought the team from the Autries, I was excited about that too. I thought, that the Autries did a great job bringing baseball to LA, to Anaheim. And, making sure that they had invested enough in the team over the years. They had some high-profile free agent signings. But I thought they did a good job in the 90s of building the core. And that's ultimately, I think, what has led to the Angels having trouble since roughly 2011, 2012, is the overinvestment in free agents and underinvesting in the farm team, underinvesting in the minor leagues, creating the foundation to be successful. I think you have to have a really good balance. So by the time they got to 02, it was really a lot of homegrown guys, and they had acquired a few people here and there through trades. They had some veterans on the team, but they had that farm system that yielded great results. And then of course Frankie Rodriguez came in late in the year and just was a phenom.
Yeah, I mean, it laid the bricks to get here. And or just quick note, I think on hand movement, I think the mic is like picking it up a little bit.
Sorry.
No, all good, all good. Yeah, that's what. But Anaheim starting pitcher Kevin Apier goes deep into counts, and has thrown more pitches to AL batters than anyone in the league in 02. Tim McClellan, the umpire, has kind of a delayed, some say relaxed strike call. And game 6 here, this builds up the tension even more, especially with Bonds and Kent already on base in the first inning. Everything is there for the dramatic, much like in the 94 film, Angels in the Outfield. I assume it's been too long for me to say whether it was any good, but Little Big League was my on repeat selection in 94. But what kind of impact did it seem like on the ground that Angels in the Outfield, Christopher Lloyd, and pretty good cast there, had on the popularity of the franchise for kids and teenagers in the LA Metro?
I was just happy people were paying attention to the Angels for once instead of the Dodgers all the time. We were always the the afterthought, and so it was good to get some attention in that way. When Disney bought the team, they changed the uniforms. My son loves that winged uniform. He still has the hat and everything of that era. He's only 13, but he just thinks it looks cool. But I thought that in 02, when they made the playoffs, and they were playing the Yankees, I thought, boy, this is not going to be easy. And they hung in there with the Yankees, and then they started winning, and they just blew them out of the water. And honestly, it was a huge shock because we'd never won a playoff series before. So I felt like 02, I really felt like something different was happening when we beat the Yankees in a division series that was unheard of as an Angels fan. Of course, back in 86, there was no division series, so we were right to the ALCS. And in 82, I know they lost to Milwaukee in a playoff. At the end of the day, we were, I think as Angels fans, we were all completely shocked that we beat the New York Yankees. And against the Twins, they were a great team. Johan Santana and a young David Ortiz, they were really good. When we beat them in 5, I thought anything was possible at that point. And, we lost the first game to the Giants, as I recall, but we hung in there. Bonds was, literally from another planet, the way he was playing in those years. PEDs or not, the guy was one of the all-time great players. The sad thing is he was one of the all-time great players before he ever touched a PED. You literally couldn't pitch to the guy. He was, on another planet, as I said. So we hung in there and we did well, game 2 and 3, and then game 4, as I recall, we got wiped out. And I thought, okay, maybe the magic is not, maybe the rally monkey is not going to get us across the finish line here. And we just gone through so many disappointments, Thomas, over the years. And I remember game 6, we got down, and I know you're going to talk about it, but I was really despondent. I thought, man, what a great season. And I sort of had this attitude of, man, just happy to be there, just happy to be there. We made the World Series. That's pretty great. We weren't quite able to avenge 86, but what a great year. And then, of course, the inconceivable happened, which we can talk about.
Yeah, they keep coming. Against the Yankees, staring down 0-2 in the series, they come back, and then they take care of the Twins in 5 games. And here, game 6 here, back against the wall again, elimination 3-2. Apier gets Benito Santiago to fly out. So get out of that first inning. But it's 3 up, 3 down for Eckstein, Erstad, and Salmon in the first. Russ Ortiz actually no-hits them into the 4th, where 0-0 still. Bonds walked again the second time through the order. Bonds, as you mentioned, unreal at that time. 370 that year. Only Ichiro has topped that since. They're up the Pacific Coast. Your district's shoreline starts at Dana Point in OC and goes past Carlsbad into San Diego County. You sported the Carlsbad Lancers uni in an annual Congressional baseball game. What's it like representing great baseball markets and supporting 3 different major league teams there in Southern California, those markets?
It's awesome. It's awesome. So I was very fortunate that the late great Peter Seidler wanted to send me a jersey in a Padres 49, And so I've worn that a couple of the games. Really fortunate that UC San Diego, they've got, just a fantastic university. I've worn their jerseys a couple times, and I wore Carlsbad High School. Great team, all kinds of great athletes coming out of Carlsbad High School. And just being out there on the field in front of 25 or 30,000 people every year at Nats Park, which might be as much as the Nats, pull themselves. I don't know. But it's all for charity. It's about $2 million a year that we raise for local charities in the DC area. And, I wish our team was doing better. The Republicans have won, I think, 5 straight. And Mark Teixeira, who the Angels actually wound up getting, I think, in 2008. Mark Teixeira is running for Congress as a Republican. So that's going to be brutal if he winds up on the Republican Congressional baseball team. There has been talk of Adam Wainwright running as a Democrat in Missouri. So I think we're going to have to make that happen, Thomas. I don't know.
Yeah, I got to find a way to get back in it. Your first year in 2019, y'all win, and then tough luck since then. Is it what the Adam Smith injury and retirement? It's
very simple what happened. It's Cedric Richmond took a job in the Biden administration. Cedric is a great athlete and a great pitcher, and we miss him. And we almost won the year after he retired. We lost, I think, 13-12, and we had John Ossoff pitching, and we almost won. And now our team plays hard. We play to win, and we just unfortunately haven't been able to get it done. And we need to recruit. DCCC, they recruit candidates all across the country. I want them to start recruiting baseball players.
Yeah, I mean, you did have some help from a football player there in 2019, Colin Allred.
Yeah, my buddy Colin, he got hurt though. He pulled his hamstring the morning of the game, and there went our shot with Colin. But a great guy, and he'd be a great senator for the state of Texas, I might add.
That would definitely bring some more slugging to the lineup, as I saw from a 2019 highlight. Hobbled to second base, but didn't need to run to second, given where given I think it was a gap shot.
Can I just say how impressed I am that you watched highlights of the Congressional baseball game? That's how I know that you're willing to watch anything.
Yeah. The rabbit holes I've gone down for this podcast are Kevin Apier, much like the Republicans pitching against Colin Allred, or potentially against Adam Wainwright. He bounced after a 3-run fifth, though. Apier, gave him a lot of pitches this year, game effort, and we'll just need to rally again. Francisco Rodriguez, you're a phenom, middle reliever, does a good job to stop the bleeding in 2+ innings work, but Barry Bonds smashes a solo in the 6th.
Giants. I think that ball is still going, right? It's 23 years later. I think the ball hasn't landed.
There's like a cosmos section of the beyond the fence where the ball can go, and then no one finds it.
It went across the 55 freeway, landed where the Ducks play hockey over there.
Yeah, and that's 4-0 Giants with an exclamation point. Bottom of the 6th, Adam Kennedy and Darren Erstad get on. All right, we're getting the rally monkey ready. At least one more time, maybe.
You said 5-0. Was that the score?
They eventually get to 5-0, and it's, but in the 6th, it's 4-0, and they nearly chip away, but a gut punch here. Tim Salmon up to the plate, the Kingfish Rookie of the Year for the Angels 10 years prior. Back when they were the California Angels. Giants pitcher Russ Ortiz had a 1-hit shutout going into the 6th, but will we rally again here? The voiceover in the year in review package that another rabbit hole I went down was Ortiz starting to swim upstream with Salmon at the plate? But strike 3
it's a dad joke right there. It's a good dad joke.
Oh yeah, I love these year in review packages. They do not hold back. And
I remember thinking. So I do remember that we were down 4-0, 5-0. I just thought we were toast. I thought, okay, it was a great year. I'm really grateful to have gotten the team team got the World Series. We never thought maybe that would happen. Never even won a playoff series before 2002. And, I was resigned to the fact that we made it really close and Barry Bonds was going to have his World Series ring. And I was not so happy about that. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I remember just watching, thinking, oh, of course, this is the narratively satisfying in a way. And I also love those. Nowadays, I feel like people would be too self-conscious to say Ortiz was swimming upstream against salmon. but back then, and that's why I love these watching these from back then. Yeah. So did it seem? Yeah, I guess it seemed more over here than it did at any point in the previous series. Backs against the wall against the Yankees earlier in the playoffs. Did those earlier comebacks? Yeah.
And they had Rob Nen as their closer, and I think it was in the if I remember, the 7th or 8th inning. We didn't come back till the very end, and you figure, okay, well, Rob Nen, this guy's lights out. We're toast. Again, been a great year, and we've got a good young core. We'll be back next year, but obviously that's why they play the games.
Yep, and K-Rod on the mound in the 7th. Kenny Lofton gets on at age 35. He'll still do Kenny Lofton things, steal second, and then score off a single from Jeff Kent. And yeah, okay, this is the way it's going to go, 5-0. And Bonds is back up, homered off K-Rod to start the inning, leads the league in like 50 categories. Major League Baseball is spamming him with the intentional walk. And Mike Scioscia says, pitch to him, K-Rod. Doesn't matter if you're not old enough to drink. Where were you watching this, and what did you have in your hand?
I was watching this at Bailey's Sports Bar, which I don't even think exists anymore, in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Probably with a beer. I couldn't tell you what kind, but I was ready to drown my sorrows because that was the end of a great season, and most people I was with had no clue. They didn't like Barry Bonds, though. I'll tell you that. So they were cheering for the Angels just because I was sitting there and because they weren't going to cheer for Barry Bonds. Sorry to all my Giants fans and friends out there. My chief of staff's a big Giants fan, so he's crushed that we're talking about this, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I'm still I still don't fully understand how the Giants did not get a World Series with Barry Bonds. Spoiler alert. And so 2-2 count. K-Rod throws what kind of looks like fastball in, and Bonds is like, cool, I'll send that to Chino Hills.
Exactly.
Nope. Slider down. Strike 3 swinging. A little momentum.
That's what K-Rod had, right? He had the 2 pitches. Both were nasty, and he was fantastic, and obviously, the best was yet to come with him.
Yep. So the difference between Chino Hills and the dirt into the glove for strike 3 is a matter of K-Rod dialing up that other filthy pitch he has, and he's walking into the dugout, middle relief job, doing the cool thing you can do in the early 2000s, which is strike out Barry Bonds. Halo on the red lettering, the block lettering, Angels across the chest. Is this your favorite Angels look? They switched to it that year, or are you preferable to other jerseys that periwinkles?
This was the first year they wore these uniforms. They obviously, not to bury the lead here, but they did win the World Series with them the very first year, so they've kept them ever since. And I think they're great traditional, kind of a modern spin on a traditional jersey. Their mid 80s to late 80s is my favorite. The old school with the navy blue. And as I said, my 13-year-old likes the late 90s Disney one. The mid 90s, the Angels in the outfield jersey, not great. The City Connects are really good. So most of the City Connects I can't stand, but the Angels have a really good one. So I'm fortunate in that they have like 3 or 4 pretty good uniforms to choose from. And then in the early and mid 2000s, when they were really good, they had all those playoff teams. They had the cutoff arms, the sleeveless. Those are pretty cool too.
Yeah, the City Connects. It seems like a lot of variants on those. Some of some of those rule, and some it's like, what on earth? But the Angels one's very cool. And the, the the new look for 2002. A lot of teams around that time had gotten over the hump after they changed jerseys. It seemed like late 90s, early 2000s. I remember Denver Broncos finally get over the hump with their new jerseys.
Well, they all went very cartoonish during the 90s in all major sports, maybe except the NFL. And Disney, kind of the other interesting backstory here is that Disney, as all this is going on, is trying to sell the team, right? So, they didn't sell until the off season, but all through 2002, they're trying to line up a buyer. So as all this was going on, as this playoff run was getting better and better, the price was going up for the Angels.
Wow, yeah, and so yeah, that was a real era in the aesthetic, and Angels would take their new aesthetic into bottom of the seventh, down 5-0, back against the wall, monkey on the wall, because Scott Spezio hits a 3-run homer. I'm hearing Katie's music, the white-haired Capuchin. How early were you on board with the rally monkey being a real catalyst for Anaheim?
Honestly, after that game. Until that game, I said, I don't know. Is this a real thing? I mean, they're going to sell a lot of plush rally monkeys. That's cool. But, does it actually work or not? I didn't actually believe it worked until that game. So, first of all, when Spezio hit the 3-run home run, that was really just very unlikely all the way around. And then, I don't want to get in front of you, but the events that unfolded after, I kind of still can't believe, to tell you the truth, to be down 5-0 in the seventh against a very good bullpen. Dusty Baker managed the team very well. I've seen a lot of baseball. I was very, very surprised that we came back the way we did. But to this day, I remember that game, and I cannot believe that 23 years have passed, because it really is. It's pretty vivid what happened, and it's been brutal that we haven't gotten back there in the years since. But we always have that one.
Yeah, and Spezio, or before he hit that homer, I think Pro Baseball Reference had the Angels series win probability odds at 2%.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was that high.
But after Spezio's home run, Giants get out of the inning, and so they're down. They're up. So they're still up going into the 8th inning, and eventually we get to 5-4 in the 8th, thanks to a Erstad homer. Salmon,
Erstad was clutch.
And then Salmon redemption from the previous 2 innings prior, and Garrett Anderson singles to left. Well, what could have been a single, but Barry Bonds tries to palm it and catch the pinch.
He fell.
Tries to palm it, and it slides, bounces toward the wall. He falls, slides in the dirt trying to field it.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people that were rooting for the Angels or a little tired of Bonds just like crushing everything or walking, like to see that. Though the runners get to second and third, they don't all get home. And 5-4, still down with 2 on for Troy Gloss. Giants bring in the closer, aforementioned Rob Nen. He put the 97 World Series on ice for the Marlins against Cleveland. Scoreless relief to close out Game 7 for 2 innings. And the San Francisco here in 0-2 is 6 outs away. Joe Buck on the call as Nen throws high over the plate to Glaus. Into left center field, Bonds on the run. Won't get it. 6-5 Angels. And Percy closes it out in the 9th. How tough was it to sleep that Saturday night?
Well, I just got goosebumps just now. I still can't believe that happened. And, I look back at that whole season. It was just magical, man. It was unbelievable. I was bummed that I wasn't in Anaheim. I would have loved to have been there. I'm sure tickets would have been an insane amount of money for a law student, but I'd have found a way.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, after Troy Gloss, who would win World Series MVP, hits that, there was probably a vibe shift on Sunday. Different feeling in your stomach Sunday afternoon than Saturday afternoon going into Game 7, I imagine.
Well, we had all the confidence in the world because you knew that their best shot just evaporated, right? So we went from being dead in the water to having all the momentum. And I was, even though the franchise's history was not great in terms of playoffs or clutch moments, I felt like the Giants had to feel a tremendous amount of pressure going to Game 7, knowing that their best chance just went up in smoke, right up 5-0 in the seventh. You said 6 outs to go, 7 outs to go with Rob Nen coming in. There's no way we should have won that game. And it was just an incredible comeback. And I felt really good about Game 7, even though we had Lackey. Lackey was not very good in the game before that he had pitched. And as a rookie pitching Game 7 of the World Series, he did a lot better than I thought he would do. And I just felt great going into that Game 7.
Yeah, it seemed like the strength of that team going in was very much the batting, deep lineup, unlike we'd seen, and the pitching. You're getting enough from guys like Lackey and Jared Weaver, the ace. But
Washburn.
or sorry,
We
Jared
were
Weaver's later, right?
We were king later.
Yeah, Washburn. And but that October weekend in 02, you could catch multiple Angels playoff games. Hopefully in 2026, people can have that option to catch Padres, Angels, and Dodgers in a October weekend. Even though the Dodgers they signed
Padres and Dodgers, I'm pretty confident. Angels got a long way to go. A long way to go. We had better season this year. Last year we lost 99 games, and it's been a steady slide downhill ever since they signed Albert Pujols, who I think the world of Albert Pujols as a baseball player and as a person, but we overpaid for him. And there were a series of free agent signings after that have gone poorly. Josh Hamilton, Vernon Wells, you name it. So the good news, though, is that just as was the case in the late 90s, we now have a good young core of players in Neto and Adele and Ohapi. And all these guys are struggling. Adele's done very well this year, but Ohapi's had a down year. Neto just got hurt again, but he had a very good year. And Taylor Ward's in the mix as well. So there's this good young core. Again, we lack pitching, and we lack maturity in terms of having the veteran presence. We've got Trouty, obviously, but he's been hurt now 4 straight years, and it pains me to say it because I have so enjoyed watching Mike Trout's career. He's one of the all-time great players, period, in MLB, the best Angel ever by a lot. But we never surrounded him or Ohtani with the kind of talent necessary to take those teams to the next level. And those two guys weren't on the field at the same time nearly enough, right? Ohtani was injured a lot as an Angel, and Trout, of course, has been as well. But just as was the case with that young core, Salmon, Anderson, Erstad, those guys, Percival, we now have a young core again. My hope is that the team, frankly, gets sold because I think we need a new leader, guiding the franchise. I personally have lost confidence in the owner, but that's just me. I'm just one person.
And some of the higher payroll franchises getting guys like Ohtani and Lackey, who gives you 5 innings of 1-run ball here in Game 7. Eventually, the Red Sox get him, and a bases loaded. Yeah.
Bloss goes to the Cardinals. Lackey winds up leaving, but Lackey stuck around for a while, right?
Yeah.
Lackey was on the Angels through the 2000s.
Lackey, through 09, and gives you 5 innings of 1-run ball before you guys go through the middle relief with Donnelly and K-Rod. And we're able to get into a save situation because of a bases loaded double by Garrett Anderson. Makes it 4-1 in the third of Game 7, and it stays that way. Percival, 7th save. No one has more in a single postseason to this day. It's the Angels.
Amazing. I love that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a few tied with him there, including Rob Nen in this postseason, actually. So still some flowers for Nen, even with the Angels' extraordinary work, along with the Rally Monkey in Game 6. But yeah, as you mentioned, remainder of the aughts had some good teams, and interesting teams, at least in the 2010s, even if didn't surround Trout with Ohtani with enough talent. But what's it like catching a game before or after work in Orange County?
It's a great place to go with my family, and my son's 13, my daughter's 11, and my wife puts up with us and watches baseball with us, but we try to get to maybe a dozen games. I try to get to at least a Padres game a year, and we live close to the Big A, so we probably get there, I don't know, 10, 12 times a season. Less now than used to be the case because I'm in DC half the year. And I was picking on the Nats a little bit, but we get to a few Nats games a year, and Nats Park's a great place to watch a game as well. But the Big A needs work, to be honest with you, Thomas. It's getting old, and it's such a great stadium. It has such a great history. Always was, excellent customer service. Always very oriented towards fans. Lower prices than a lot of other ballparks, but as you may know, the city of Anaheim and Artie Moreno, they've had a lot of challenges. Hopefully the current situation is looking better, but it's been really rough as an Angels fan, watching as the ballpark that I went to as a kid is sort of allowed to continuously be underinvested in. And if you go and you just check out the condition, the paint, the concourses, the lighting, it's just very clear that it needs a whole lot of TLC, particularly when you compare it with Dodger Stadium, which itself is built in the 60s, but looks like brand spanking new. They've done such a fantastic job of renovating Dodger Stadium over the years, and they just haven't. And I put that on the owner, who again, when he bought the team, he was doing the right stuff. They turned it into the LA Angels of Anaheim, which I hated. To this day, I don't like that. And they kept Bill Stoneman for a number of years, and they had that good young core. And they had a couple good free agent signings in Vlad Guerrero and in Torrey Hunter. When Stoneman left, the player development, I think, really took a hit. The investment in that next generation took a hit, and because they didn't have that farm system, they didn't have those good young players anymore. Their core aged, and then they tried to fill the gap with free agents, and it turned out to be a very risky way to try to build a great team because a lot of those guys just didn't perform. C.J. Wilson, Vernon Wells, Josh Hamilton, Pujols did fine for a while, but obviously production was nowhere near what he did in St. Louis. On into and then they drafted Trout. That was a great thing. They drafted him, I think, 24th or 25th in the first round. Phenomenal talent, but not surrounded with the other players necessary to really make a deep playoff run. They made the playoffs in 2014. They lost to the Royals. I think they got swept by the Royals. That's the only playoff baseball Mike Trout's ever played. When they got Ohtani, that was a great signing. But as I said, he got hurt. We went through the COVID year, and we also lost the continuity. Socia left in, 2015, 2016, whatever it was. Joe Madden was there for a while. I was hoping that Darren Erstad would be the manager because, you talk back to the 02 team, Darren Erstad's legit. The way he plays, the way he used to play, putting it all out on the field, 100% effort every time, great team guy, and a winner. I was hoping that he would leave the University of Nebraska, come manage the Angels. They got Ron Washington, and he's a character and seems to be a great baseball guy. Obviously, he's had health challenges as well. So the team is really it's tough, man. It's tough right now. Every year we kind of don't know whether we're in rebuilding mode or not. We're not sellers at the deadline like we should be. We're not rebuilding You look at the Orioles, you look at some of the other teams that have been able, not that the Orioles had a great year this year, but you look at what they've been able to do, and the Angels haven't been self-aware enough to realize that they're sellers at the deadline until they're not. And we haven't had a winning season, I think, since that 14, right? I think it's been since that 14 season, we haven't had a winning record.
Man, and not knowing whether you're a buyer or a seller at the deadline can make all the difference, potentially set you back years in any sport. Was there any inspiration from that 2002 run? Even though you first run for Congress when you have prime Trout and Ohtani there, but did 02 come to mind when you're drawing inspiration in running for California's 49th, flipping that in 2018, and continuing to do the work today in that seat?
Well, I would love to tell you yes, because that'd be good for your podcast, but the answer is no. I was totally focused on what was happening to the country at that time, and I had been involved in clean energy and the environment for a long time, and I was very concerned all the work I'd done had been threatened and was going to be threatened. I also, didn't fully account for the fact I would not be able to go to as many baseball games back home doing this job because I'm here all the time. But baseball for me has been a way to get my mind off everything else, right? I can go, I can just lock in on whatever's happening, and I can focus on that great baseball game. I can spend time with my wonderful kids and my wife. I can enjoy the afternoon or the evening, and it'll all be there when when the game is over. And there have been times where I've been out there at the stadium where I get interrupted with something that requires immediate attention from work. But most of the time that's not the case. I can just enjoy, Sunday afternoon or whatever it may be. And for me, that's a beautiful thing, particularly at this time when things are so difficult and contentious. And if you're just reading the news or doom scrolling on social media, it gets pretty bleak. And so just being able to get away from it for an hour or two is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, getting out and talking to people it could be energizing. Yeah, and of course, going to Congress, and running and getting in the arena like that to do the work. And definitely, the way you answered it, I was thinking is this energy source that helps power you.
There was no rally
ways.
monkey in my campaign, unfortunately.
Yeah. But before running, do you have time for two more questions?
Yeah.
Before running.
Sure.
Before running for Congress, you worked in clean energy tech in Orange County and served on a board in San Diego County. Now in Congress, you're on appropriations for energy and water development and related agencies. How important are advancements in energy tech for both reducing energy costs and making it more reliable and sustainable?
Oh, it's huge. I really think that in the future, 20, 30 years out, we're going to be using a whole host of new technologies to do everything from move people around, move goods around, build buildings, grow food. All of it's going to change. The way we generate electricity is going to change as well. And we're either going to lead in the United States with technologies that are developed here with companies that grow in places like Orange and San Diego counties, and we're going to lead the way and ultimately yield the economic return of all of that. Or we're going to be using technologies that are developed and manufactured elsewhere, China or India or Europe. And I think that would be a massive missed economic opportunity. So on top of the environmental, I think economic is key. And I really want to do what I can to accelerate a cleaner future. Growing up in Southern California, we had smog alerts all the time where you'd have to stay inside. And we got real smart around pollution, both from mobile sources and stationary sources as well. And so I've been very honored to try to continue to do that work in Congress. It's not easy right now, but clean air should not be partisan. Clean water should not be partisan. And ultimately wanting a secure energy future, that shouldn't be partisan either.
Yeah, and it seems like you cut your teeth on energy with earlier experiences in OC in San Diego County, and energized your baseball fandom in those parts, watching players like Tony Gwynn and Jim Edmonds. If the San Diego Padres reach the World Series this year, do you think Angels fans, by and large, will be like, hey, rooting for your friend?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm going to try to go. Well, I want to, first of all, I got to run that by my wife because tickets might be a small fortune. But look, the Padres and Dodgers rivalry right now is so great, and I think everybody who isn't a Dodgers fan is going to cheer on the Padres. And again, great young core, Tatis and Machado and Bogarts and Merrill and that whole team. I'm super psyched because I think they finally have the tools necessary to compete and win. Again, they did a few years ago. They beat the Dodgers in 21, but I think they can do it again. And nothing against Shohei. I get it. He saw a huge opportunity to be on the biggest stage, and he took it. And I'll tell you, having been in Japan recently, there's no bigger celebrity in any country than Shohei Ohtani is in Japan. It is unbelievable. So I get why the Dodgers made the investment that they did in Ohtani. But yeah, man, I'm going to be all in for the brown and gold if that happens.